All right, hi everyone. The purpose of this video is to talk about short writing assignment 1. So on Thursday last week, the assignment was reviewed in class and launched. And as promised during class and before Thursday, the purpose of this video is to kind of go through that and to give you a reference that you can use throughout the semester for short writing assignment 1, as well as 2 and 3. So that's essentially the plan for this video. All right, so a couple of things to remember about short writing assignment 1, and these will change a little bit if you're working on SWA 1, 2, or 3. That'll be the deadline in particular. The deadlines for those will always be on the assignment guidelines, and they'll always be in the course syllabus as well. So short writing assignment 1 is due on Tuesday, October 18th at 1 p.m., which is right at the start of class. A couple of other things that we've talked about in our course with regards to this assignment is that you don't have to do the questions from week 2 for SWA 1. You can actually do the questions from week 3 if you'd like, which is what we'll be talking about Tuesday and Thursday this week, Introduction to Culture. You can also choose week 4 or week 5. And the other thing to know is that you don't have to decide what questions you want to do right now. So you can wait until, week 5 until we cover the CSI effect. And then you can go back in time and say, well, now that I've seen all of these weeks, I'm actually going to do the questions from week 2. You do have to do all of the questions from a specific week though. So if you pick week 3, answer all of the questions from week 3. If you pick week 4, answer all the questions from week 4. So that's kind of a few reminders of what we talked about in class already. This is where you can find the assignment on My Learning Space. So if you're in the table of contents view, you'll notice that the short writing assignments have been organized by date. So in red on the screen in front of you, this is SWA 1, but actually if you're looking at the screen, you'll notice that SWA 2 appears there also. So you'll always be able to find the short writing assignments on our My Learning Space page organized by date. So close to the due date. Once you get into the module for the short writing assignments, your discussion questions will be there organized by week as well. So here you can see this is where you would find the discussion questions for week 2. This is what the handout looks like. So for SWA 1, it covers weeks 2 to 5. Any of those weeks are eligible. The due date is the same for all of those weeks. And option 1 is to do the questions from week 2. These are screenshots that you can see in front of you. They've been taken right from the Word document that's been posted on My Learning Space. So the questions that you are given for this assignment are all included in the Word document. You're asked to respond to those using any other notes that you've taken in class, as well as things that you've taken from the readings, and prepare a short, so 4 to 5 page, double spaced, 12 New Roman, all that kind of regular stuff, written assignment. Really what I'm asking you to do here is to look at the questions that you've been asked and think about how to apply what you've learned over the past week to those questions. And to earn full marks, you have to answer all of the questions and the sub-questions. These are what the questions look like. So I'm not going to read them to you word for word. You'll be able to see them in the Word document itself. What I would point out is that you should pay attention to the specific verbs that are used. So for question 1, for example, it asks you to do 3 different things: to define 2 concepts, to explain the author's position on those concepts, and then to discuss whether you agree or disagree and note why. So in order to earn full marks on this question, you have to do all 3 of those things. As you look at some of the other questions in this assignment, You'll notice that sometimes there are hints that I've provided to help you. The goal of this assignment really isn't to trick you. It's to apply what you've learned in class. And so in that sense, what these assignments are testing is a little bit different than, say, for example, the midterms or the in-class quizzes that we'll be looking at a little bit later. That's more about substantive knowledge, and this is the application of that knowledge. In that sense, these short writing assignments are a really great primer or test for the final exam, where you'll be asked to do similar things. So my goal with the SWAs is to give you feedback and an opportunity to start applying the knowledge that you're learning in our class to specific concepts and examples and cases that we look at together. Okay, so question 3, again, you've got an example, a hint there that you've been given. Once you've gone through the questions, which is the first page of the Word doc, you'll notice that the second page has some other helpful tips or guidelines that you need to be aware of in order to earn full marks. So writing clearly is important. We've got tons of time to complete these assignments, especially if you choose to do like week 2, you have almost a whole month to do them. And in that case, and even if you choose week 5, you still have a fair amount of time. And so you need to be conscious of your writing. So minimal spelling and grammatical errors that detracts from the clarity and from the argument or evidence that you're presenting. You need to write concisely, so you don't have to be overly complicated. You can use the first person. I emphasize professional rather than verbose. Show that you know your stuff. So that means citing your sources, so making references to the readings that we've done in our class. You don't have to include a bibliography. You can, but it won't count towards the page limit. But use a format for citation that you're comfortable with and use it consistently. Really, what you're doing by citing your sources is showing your work. You're saying, I've done the readings, that's where these come from. I've been able to apply them in this context. You also need to do more by copying what's been said in class or what's been said in the readings. So don't copy paste things, put it in your own words instead. What I would ask you to think about is how you would explain your answers to these questions to somebody else. So feel free to use like common plain language, but just don't use like texting acronyms like we've spoken about in class. So follow the assignment guidelines will help you earn full marks here. Make sure you answer all of the questions. So going back to the questions, question 3 contains these 3 pieces. Question 2 contains those 3 pieces, and question 1 also has 3 sub-pieces. So make sure that you answer and address all of those things. In addition to, respecting the page limit, the font size, font type, the margins, don't mess around with stuff. Really keep it simple in that sense. And then lastly, submitting your assignment on time. So be mindful of the due dates for your assignments, not only in our class, but also in other classes. Short writing assignment 1, which, as we've talked about a couple of times now, covers weeks 2, 3, 4, and or 5. Is due on Tuesday, October 18th at 1 p.m., although you are welcome to submit it any point in time before then. Late submissions lose points, but if you have any technical difficulties when you're trying to upload your document to My Learning Space, please just send it in by email by the deadline instead. I'll be available during office hours over the coming weeks if you have questions about this assignment, and there'll also be lots of time in class to talk about it further. But hopefully this video serves as a nice refresher, not only for SWA1, because the specific questions and deadlines were included in this video, but hopefully it's a helpful reference for other assignments, other short writing assignments going forward. Thanks for listening.